In the center of the galaxy, inside the Great Galactic Council Hall, 1,000 alien species had gathered. Bright lights filled the chamber, and floating holograms showed maps of all known worlds. The meeting was loud, full of laughter and pride. The council was discussing the yearly threat rankings, a list of species rated by danger level. At the very bottom of the chart, one name glowed in small white letters: humanity, low threat, harmless. An alien minister with golden scales smirked. Harmless indeed, he said. Emotional creatures, always fighting among themselves. No real unity, no real power. A gray-skinned ambassador joined in, his long eyes blinking slowly. They don't even have colonies anymore. Their home system is quiet. I say we remove them from the list next cycle. They are no threat to the galaxy. Laughter filled the hall. Thousands of alien voices echoed as if the whole chamber agreed. For them, humans were a story from the past, a forgotten species that had vanished after their old wars. No one feared them. No one even remembered what they looked like. Then, in the middle of the laughter, the lights flickered. The massive holographic display froze and a red alarm appeared on the screen. Emergency transmission, Border World, Arian 3. The council chamber went silent. A deep voice came through the speakers, broken by static. Unknown ships approaching. We detect human symbols. Repeat, human. The message cut off. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence was heavy. Then an alien general waved his hand dismissively. Humans? Impossible. They can't even build FTL ships anymore. It must be pirates using old human signals to cause fear. Another official nodded quickly. Yes, a fake attack. The border systems panic easily. The council speaker, an ancient being with a shimmering blue shell, made his decision. Ignore it. Humans don't invade. They never have. And just like that, the warning was closed. But a few hours later, every communication line to Arian 3 went dead. No transmissions, no trade signals, no distress calls. The planet had gone silent. At first, the council blamed solar storms. They sent a small scout ship to investigate. The ship reported entering orbit around Arian 3, and then, nothing. Contact lost. By the next day, the Galactic News Network released an emergency headline: Arian 3 missing. 2.4 million citizens unaccounted for. Panic began to spread among nearby colonies. Traders reported seeing dark shapes moving in deep space. Massive. Ships without transponders moving faster than anything known. Some said they saw red light trails that matched ancient human engine signatures. The council still refused to believe it. This is nonsense, the speaker said. Ghost stories. Humans are extinct. But as the hours passed, more strange reports arrived. Surveillance stations caught fragments of radio chatter in an ancient Earth language. The words were short, calm, military. And every time those signals appeared, a planet would soon go dark. A junior officer in the intelligence department whispered to his commander, "Sir, what if humans are not gone? What if they are coming back?" The commander silenced him. "That's impossible. Humanity burned itself long ago." Still, deep inside the officer's heart, a feeling of unease grew. 3 days later, a damaged probe drifted into the central communication hub of the galaxy. It came from the direction of Arian 3. The probe was nearly destroyed, metal torn, sensors melted. But one image was still intact inside its memory core. The technicians gathered around as the screen flickered to life. Static covered most of the view, but through the noise they saw broken cities, towers of alien design crushed into dust. Fires burned across the land. Then the camera turned to the ground. There, standing in the center of the ruins, was a single flag, old, torn, and scorched. Its colors were faded, but the symbol was clear. The human flag, red, white, and blue, burned into alien soil. No one spoke for a long time. The technicians looked at one another, terrified. The image seemed to breathe with its own silent rage. When the news reached the Galactic Council, Chaos broke out. Some demanded to attack whatever force had done this. Others said to hide and investigate. But no one could explain how humans, gone for centuries, could now destroy a whole world without warning. The speaker ordered the probe quarantined and the footage sealed. "This image will not leave this chamber," he said coldly. "If humans have returned, we must not show fear." But outside, the rumors spread faster than any order could stop. Across the stars, whispers grew stronger. Humans are back. The harmless ones have returned. Arian 3 burned without a sound. And somewhere far beyond the known systems, deep in the black void between galaxies, engines roared to life. A fleet moved silently through the dark, their lights cold, their purpose hidden. No one could see them. No one could stop them. But soon every world would hear their arrival, and this time humanity would not be called harmless. Fear spread quietly across the galaxy. The loss of Arian 3 was not something the Council could hide for long. Traders whispered about it in spaceports. Miners talked in dark taverns. Pilots claimed they had seen strange shadows passing by their ships, moving faster than any known vessel. But when someone mentioned humans, others laughed nervously and changed the subject. Nobody wanted to believe it. At the Galactic Council Hall, chaos ruled. Long meetings turned into shouting matches. Alien voices echoed through the great chamber, all trying to explain what happened to Arian 3. "We need evidence," cried one reptilian general. "There are no bodies, no ships, nothing." An insectoid representative clicked its mandibles. "And yet a planet of 2 million vanished. Whole atmosphere burned away. What kind of weapon does that?" The speaker slammed a hand on the table. "Humans do not have this power. They were weak when they disappeared. They had no fleets, no colonies, no allies." Still, his words sounded less like truth and more like hope. Days later, the second world went silent. It was a mining planet called Varnus 4, located near the outer rim. Thousands of miners and machines worked there, extracting energy crystals for the galactic market. Then one night, every satellite, every signal, every ship gone. The last transmission received from Varnus 4 was a single line of audio. "They're here." Then static. Rescue ships sent afterward found only debris. The cities were turned to glass, and the surface of the planet looked melted, like it had been hit by a star. No weapon known to the Council could do this, not even their most powerful fleets. Panic started to rise. Alien citizens began leaving border systems. Ships filled with refugees crowded the spaceways. Military fleets moved closer to core worlds, and fear turned into anger. Some races wanted war. Some wanted peace. But none could explain the enemy. In a dark room of the Galactic Intelligence Center, 3 officers studied fragments of strange energy readings. One of them, a young scientist named Kelran, stared at the screen for hours. The data made no sense. It showed bursts of energy moving faster than light without leaving any trace. Kelran finally spoke softly. "This isn't alien technology. It's human." The older officer beside him frowned. "Impossible." Kelran pointed to a wave pattern on the screen. "This energy signature matches old Terran drives. I've read about them in the archives. Human warships used them during their last Great War before they vanished." The older officer hesitated. "If that's true, then they've improved them beyond anything we understand." Kelran's voice dropped to a whisper. "Maybe they were never destroyed. Maybe they were hiding, waiting." While the Council argued, a third planet disappeared. Then a fourth. And then an entire trade route went offline. Every attack happened the same way. Silence first, a burst of unknown energy, and then nothing. No wreckage, no distress calls. Only dead systems floating quietly in the dark. The galaxy began calling it the Silent War. But in truth, it wasn't a war, because no one could even see the enemy. Weeks later, a lone cargo ship drifted into safe territory. It was damaged, nearly falling apart. The pilot, an alien merchant, was barely alive. The Council's security officers surrounded his ship as soon as it landed. Inside, the pilot was trembling, his eyes wide with horror. They came out of the dark, he whispered. No warning, no light, just shadows. They moved like ghosts. What did you see? The officer demanded. The pilot lifted a shaking hand and pressed a small device. A hologram flickered to life, a blurred image recorded from his cockpit. At first, nothing, just stars. Then slowly, giant shapes began to appear, hundreds of them moving together in silence. Their hulls were black as night, their engines glowing faint red. On the side of each ship, a single symbol shone faintly, the old blue and white flag of humanity. Gasps filled the room. The pilot continued, voice breaking. They didn't talk, didn't answer hails. They fired once, and everything around me was gone. Planets, ships, all gone. The officer turned pale. How did you survive? The pilot lowered his head. They let me go. They wanted me to bring this message. He handed the officer a small metal cube. The device activated automatically, projecting a calm, human voice speaking perfect galactic common. You taught us fear. Now we teach you silence. The message ended. The cube shut down. No one spoke for a long time. That night, the speaker stood before the Galactic Council again. His tone was no longer proud. We must face reality, he said. The humans have returned. A nervous murmur spread across the room. What do they want? One ambassador asked. The speaker looked at the holographic stars glowing above them. Revenge, he said quietly. Darkness filled the outer rim of the galaxy. It was the kind of silence that made even machines whisper. Patrol fleets searched the endless void, but their sensors showed nothing. No enemy, no movement, just quiet space. Yet, deep in that darkness, something was moving. Invisible to every radar, hidden behind strange energy fields, a massive formation of ships glided through the void. Hundreds of them. Sleek, silent black. They made no sound, no light. Only a soft red glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. The aliens called them the Ghost Fleet. No one knew where it came from. No one had seen its full size. But every system that tried to find it vanished. Inside the Galactic Council Hall, the leaders were desperate. Every species had suffered losses. Planets were gone, entire trade routes erased. Fear was spreading faster than any weapon. This is no longer random, said General Thal, his metallic voice shaking. They are choosing targets. Every system they destroy once took part in the old human war. The speaker stared at the dark holographic map. Red lights marked the destroyed worlds. So this is revenge, and he muttered. A scientist stepped forward. Our readings show strange energy patterns near the Orion Arm. If the Ghost Fleet is real, that's where it is. The speaker turned to the military council. Send everything we have. Hours later, more than 2,000 alien ships gathered near the Orion frontier. It was the largest armada ever formed since the ancient wars. Battleships, cruisers, carriers, all united under one command. They waited in silence, watching the darkness. The alien commander, Admiral Krill, stood on his flagship bridge. All units ready, he said. His many eyes stared at the screen. If humans are out there, they will face our full strength. The seconds passed slowly. Then the sensors blinked. Contact. Multiple objects appearing from FTL, shouted the tactical officer. Everyone looked to the main screen. Dozens. Then hundreds of dark shapes emerged from the void. The Ghost Fleet had arrived. At first, they didn't fire. They didn't even move aggressively. They just stood there, black ships forming a perfect line across the stars. Krill frowned. Open channels. Try to communicate, his officer nodded and sent the signal. Unidentified fleet, identify yourself. No answer, he tried again. This is the Galactic Defense Armada. We demand your purpose. A long pause. Then through the static, a voice came. It was calm, cold, human. For every world you erased, one of yours will fall. The voice ended. Krill's blood froze. All ships prepare for battle. The alien fleet opened fire first. Thousands of plasma bolts and energy torpedoes flew across the stars, turning the void into fire. Explosions flashed like suns. But the human ships didn't move. Their hulls shimmered with strange light. Every weapon blast passed straight through them, hitting nothing but empty space. What is this? Krill gasped. Are they illusions? Before anyone could answer, the ghost fleet moved. No sound. No warning. The human ships shifted positions faster than light. Their weapons fired once. Small, silent beams of pure white energy. One shot per ship. Then silence again. Moments later, the alien radar showed the impossible. Half their fleet was gone. No explosion, no wreckage, just gone. Krill's voice cracked. Retreat! Retreat now! But it was too late. The human ships vanished from sensors again, then reappeared behind the alien formation. The second wave came, cold, precise, merciless. Every alien vessel that tried to escape was swallowed by the light. Within 1 hour, 2,000 alien ships were erased from existence. When the smoke cleared, the human flagship moved slowly through the wreckage. Its name glowed faintly on the hull. Eidolon. Inside, on the command bridge, Admiral Reese stood silently, watching the destroyed fleet. His face was calm, emotionless. Report, he said. Enemy fleet neutralized, answered his second officer. No survivors detected. Reese nodded slowly. Good, record the coordinates. Send the message. The officer hesitated. Are you sure, sir? They'll know who we are. That's the point, Reese replied. His eyes stayed fixed on the burning stars. They called us weak. Now they will remember what we are. A communication beacon was launched from the Eidolon. Across the galaxy, alien screens flickered to life. A human face appeared, calm, pale, and distant. We warned you once, Reese said softly. You destroyed our colonies. You erased our people. You called us harmless. Now you will understand silence. The transmission ended. Every planet that received the message fell into panic. People fled cities, ships evacuated, and leaders screamed for defense. But nothing helped, because after the Ghost Fleet's message, more planets began to fall. Quietly, one by one. In the days that followed, the galaxy learned new fear. Alien fleets tried to regroup, but the Ghost Fleet never appeared on sensors until it was too late. Entire worlds were left as blackened husks, and each time the same phrase was found burned into the ground. We offered peace once. The humans were no longer weak. They were no longer gone. They had become something else, something silent, efficient, and unstoppable. In the shadows of the stars, Admiral Reese watched it all unfold. They wanted to forget us, he said quietly, but we remember everything. Behind him, the bridge crew stood in silence. The stars outside the window reflected in their cold eyes. For the first time in history, the galaxy's most powerful empires realized what true terror felt like. Because somewhere out there, in the deep black void, humanity was watching, and they were not finished yet. The human flagship Eidolon drifted through the quiet darkness of space. Around it, the Ghost Fleet glided like shadows, silent, disciplined, unstoppable. No one spoke unless it was necessary. No laughter, no music. Only the low hum of powerful engines and the soft pulse of light from the control panels. Inside the command bridge stood Admiral Reese, the man the galaxy now feared but knew nothing about. His uniform was dark gray, his face calm, his eyes cold. He watched the holographic map before him, a galaxy full of red marks showing the fallen worlds. His second officer, Commander Lin, stepped closer. Another message from the Galactic Council, sir, she said. They want to negotiate. Reese didn't look away from the map. They didn't want to negotiate when we begged for peace 2 centuries ago, he said quietly. Now they remember our name because they fear it. Lin hesitated. Sir, do we really have to keep destroying their planets? Some of those people are civilians. Reese turned his eyes toward her. His gaze was sharp, but his voice stayed calm. Do you know what they did to us, Commander? Lin lowered her head. The archives say they attacked our first colonies. Reese nodded slowly. They erased them, he said. Not in battle, not in defense. They did it because they feared how fast we were growing. They said humans were too dangerous to exist. He looked back at the stars. So we disappeared. We hid, we rebuilt. We learned silence while they forgot mercy. Lin said nothing. She knew better than to argue. In the lower decks of the Eidolon, hundreds of crew members worked quietly. Men and women from Earth, Luna, Mars, and the lost colonies. Each carried the same purpose, the survival of humanity. Their ships were built from forgotten technology, from black projects hidden under the oceans of Earth and in deep space vaults. For years, humanity had stayed invisible, gathering strength in silence. Now their silence had become a weapon. Back on the bridge, a transmission came in. "Sir, we have intercepted a council broadcast," the communications officer reported. "They are sending a peace message on all frequencies." "Play it," Reese said. The screen flickered, showing the Galactic Council's speaker. His blue shell had lost its shine and his eyes were full of fear. "Humans," he said slowly, "we wish to end this conflict. The galaxy does not want war. We were wrong to underestimate you. Please stop the attacks." Reese stood still, his face unreadable. Then he leaned forward slightly. "Record this," he said to his officer. The officer nodded and began recording. Reese spoke in a calm, even voice. "We once offered peace. You called us weak. We asked for respect. You called us primitive. You burned our colonies, destroyed our children, and laughed while doing it." He paused, eyes fixed on the camera. "Now you ask for peace. But peace is not given. It is earned." He ended the message with a single command. "Send it back." The officer obeyed. Across the galaxy, that message replaced every council transmission. Billions of aliens saw the human admiral's face, his calm voice echoing through every world. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was afraid of silence. That night, Reese stood alone in his private quarters. On his desk lay an old, cracked photograph, 3 people standing together on a green field under a blue sky. A young Reese, his wife, and their daughter. They were smiling. He touched the photo gently. "You would have been my age by now," he whispered. The lights outside. His window flickered, the ghost fleet, preparing for its next jump. His memories drifted back to the day everything changed. He was just a young officer on New Ceres, one of humanity's first colonies when the alien coalition came. They said it was a preventive measure. They said humans were too unpredictable. Reese remembered watching from orbit as his home burned. He remembered his daughter's voice fading on the radio, calling for help that never came. No one answered, and so humanity vanished into the shadows. They built the Silent Armada in secret and trained generations for one purpose: to make the galaxy remember. The door to his room slid open. Commander Lin entered quietly. "Sir," she said, "the fleet is ready for the next phase. The Council's defense worlds are The galaxy held its breath. After the destruction of the alien fleet near the border, no one dared to speak against humans anymore. Every Council world turned its scanners toward Earth, watching, waiting, afraid. No messages came from humans. No diplomats, no warnings, only silence. For weeks, the alien leaders met in secret. They tried to understand what had happened. The Varnix's High Chancellor said, humans could not have built those ships alone. Someone helped them. But deep down, everyone knew it wasn't true. Humanity had done it themselves. In one of the council halls, an old alien scholar stood up. He was small and frail, his eyes dim. "Do you not see the pattern?" he said. "They are not attacking for conquest. They are replying." Every destroyed world was one that mocked or hurt them. His words sent a cold fear through the room. Outside, news spread of another vanished colony. This time, one that had experimented on captured humans years ago. Now it was gone. Nothing but burned stone and melted glass remained. No warships were seen. No weapon signatures were detected. It was as if an invisible hand had erased them. The fear grew. Planets began removing old propaganda that mocked Earth. Statues were torn down. Broadcasts praising alien superiority disappeared overnight. In markets and ports, aliens whispered to each other, "Do not anger humans. They listen even when they are silent." Meanwhile, on Earth, the atmosphere was different. Humanity had become quiet. Factories no longer made trade goods. They built new ships, strange ones, using designs never shared with the galaxy. Orbital shipyards glowed day and night. No one outside Earth knew what was being prepared. A young officer, Lieutenant Mara, stood before a large window in orbit, watching a new ship leave the dock. It was huge, with armor darker than space itself. Her superior, Commander Holt, walked beside her. "They called us harmless," he said softly. "Let's make sure they never forget that mistake." Reports reached the Council that human ships were being seen across distant sectors, not attacking, just observing. Sometimes they would enter a system, scan everything, and leave without a word. The aliens called them the Ghost Fleet. Some claimed the ships could vanish in plain sight. Then one day a message finally came. It wasn't from Earth Command or a human leader. It came from a small human probe drifting into Council space. The message was short, only 12 words. "We asked for peace. You taught us silence. Now listen carefully. And then, for one long hour, every communication signal in the galaxy went dead. No calls, no broadcasts, no transmissions. Only static. When the systems came back online, a new map appeared on every screen. A glowing red circle marking all the planets that had once harmed humans. The message underneath said, "These worlds will sleep. Humanity will not be disturbed again." Within hours, reports flooded in. The marked worlds had gone dark. Power grids offline, ships missing, people vanished. No explosions, no wreckage, only a strange silence spreading like a shadow through space. In the council chamber, panic erupted. "We must send fleets," shouted one general. "We must apologize," cried another. But the High Chancellor simply stood still, staring at the fading red map. "No," he whispered. "It's already over." Back on Earth, Commander Holt received a secure transmission from Central Command. It read, "Phase 1 complete. Do not advance further. Let them understand fear." Holt nodded slowly. "They thought we were weak," he murmured, "but we never needed to shout. Silence was enough." Across the galaxy, silence indeed ruled. No one dared to speak Earth's name loudly again. Even the most powerful empires, once proud and mocking, now bowed in quiet respect. In deep space, the Ghost Fleet drifted near the edge of the stars, calm, patient, watching. The human flag shone faintly on each ship's hull, its colors reflecting in the starlight. They didn't need to invade. They didn't need to destroy everything. Humanity had already won the one battle that mattered, the battle for fear, because now, whenever any alien looked at the stars, they remembered the one truth the galaxy had forgotten: humans were never weak. They were only patient, and that patience had turned into something far more terrifying than war itself. Silence that could erase worlds. Across the galaxy, the silence of the humans became a legend. Months passed. Some thought humanity had stopped. Others prayed they never returned. But deep in the void, human ships still moved, silent, dark, and untraceable. In the Galactic Council, fear had turned into obsession. Every discussion began and ended with one word: humans. The alien senators no longer laughed as they once did. They spoke softly, worried their words might somehow reach Earth. The High Chancellor of the Council called an emergency meeting. "We must understand their goal," he said. "Why have they stopped? Why this silence?" No one answered. Even the bravest species avoided eye contact. Then a faint signal appeared on the main display, not from any known planet, but from the empty dark between stars. It carried a simple message in a human voice: "We remember. We forgive none. But we watch." A chill spread through the room. The voice was calm, almost gentle, but filled with quiet power. Every leader there realized something. Humans had not disappeared. They were waiting. On Earth, life continued in shadows. The once busy cities were covered by massive domes of defense shields. The night skies glowed faintly with ship movements. Humanity was preparing us not for attack but for survival. Commander Holt stood in the new orbital command center. Screens showed entire fleets hidden behind energy fields, ready yet still. Lieutenant Mara joined him, holding a datapad. "They're scared of us," she said softly. "Every message we intercept from the Council is full of fear." Holt nodded. "Good. Fear will keep them from trying again." He looked out at the stars. "But fear also fades," he added. "And when it fades, they'll forget." "They always forget," Mara frowned. "So what do we do then?" Holt turned to her with calm eyes. "Then, we remind them." Far away on a small alien outpost at the edge of Council space, strange readings appeared on scanners. The officer on duty squinted. "It looks like a storm," he said. But there were no storms in space. Moments later, their screens flickered. A massive object appeared from hyperspace, black, silent, enormous. It bore the mark of Earth. Before anyone could react, the object sent one transmission: "Do not test the quiet." Then it jumped away into darkness. The entire outpost went into chaos. Reports spread faster than light. "Humans are moving again," screamed one news broadcast. "They're showing their power without firing a single shot." In the following weeks, small human probes appeared above ancient battlefields, places where humans had once been betrayed or slaughtered. The probes projected blue light into the ground, repairing destroyed soil, planting green life again. It confused everyone. The aliens didn't understand. They destroy and then rebuild? One council member asked. The scholar who had once warned them spoke again. No, he said. They rebuild to remind us what they could take away. Soon, whispers began across the galaxy. Stories of human kindness mixed with terror. A transport ship lost in deep space was rescued by an unknown vessel. When the crew woke up, they found themselves safely back home. The only clue was a small flag on their console, the human symbol of Earth. An alien child who sent a distress signal during a solar storm was saved by a passing human drone. The child told the story later. The machine spoke to me. It said, "You are safe now." These acts confused the council even more. Were humans merciful or vengeful? Were they protectors or ghosts? No one knew, and that uncertainty became the greatest weapon of all. 1 year later, the Galactic Council gathered once more. The High Chancellor stood before a large hologram showing hundreds of human ships, peacefully orbiting their own space. He sighed. They could have destroyed us, he said. But instead they taught us. The old scholar smiled weakly. Yes, they taught us to respect silence. They taught us that mercy can be more frightening than war. Everyone in the room agreed. Humanity had changed the balance of the galaxy, not through conquest, but through fear and restraint. In the quiet of deep space, Commander Holt's fleet hovered near the galactic edge. He watched as new stars shimmered in the distance. Lieutenant Mara stood beside him. "Do you think they'll ever challenge us again?" she asked. Holt smiled faintly. "Maybe one day. That's the nature of the galaxy. And what will we do then?" she whispered. He looked out into the black sea of stars. "Then we'll remind them again," he said. "That silence is not weakness. It's the space between lightning and thunder." As the fleet drifted away, the stars seemed to dim around them, as if the universe itself bowed in respect. And across the galaxy, every species remembered one unshakable truth. Humanity was never harmless. They were only waiting for the stars to listen.